Hey guys, so yeah, I got some news here. You kind of see the title as I just make sure this is recording. Okay, but you see the title here, and Rodimus Primal already talked about it as well. But I thought I'd give my thoughts on it as well, seeing as though I'm a longtime Transformers fan myself. In case you guys don't know that, I've got a ton of Transformers, more so than you can probably imagine, more so than I did as a kid. I put it that way. I mean, if you've seen the room tour, you pretty much know that to be true. But I do have a report here. This was on one of the Transformer websites, courtesy of Collider, and it's basically headlines that first details about plot for the 2024 Transformers animated film featuring a pre-war Cybertron. So we're going to basically get an origins film out of this, and whether or not it connects to the live action films, that's a different story. But this is what it says, and I quote. This was posted today at 9:08 Central Time, which would be 7:08 this morning. This was posted then, and it says, and I quote, Collider interviewed Lorenzo di Bonaventura about the upcoming 2024 animated Transformers film, maybe we got, all right, let me read that, and I quote. Collider interviewed Lorenzo di Bonaventura about the upcoming 2024 animated Transformers film, where he is one of the main producers. The movie will take place entirely on Cybertron, where we will see much younger versions of characters like Optimus Prime and Megatron. While we haven't had this much info on the film before, it is well on the way, along with its toy line. Here's what Lorenzo had to say. Now, this is from one of the main producers, Lorenzo di Bonaventura, who's working on the film. This is what Lorenzo had to say, and I quote, I could tell you really important parts of the story, which is more than a tease. This is something we're trying to do. We debated a lot about it in live action, and it just was financially impossible to do. Which is why the origin story of young Megatron and young Optimus, if you know the origin, they started as friends, and over time, things devolved for them, and they ended up on two sides. So we're telling the young Optimus and young Megatron story. We really are telling the origin story of all Transformers, both what they were at the beginning of it, to how they grow apart. It continues on, and I quote, or Lorenzo continues on, and I quote, we're hoping that there is enough emotional construct to that would lead to a trilogy of it, because personally I think there's a natural trilogy. I'm not always looking to do multiple movies, but there's a natural trilogy around the relationship. So you're going to see Cybertron in a way you've never seen it. There's no one, or that no one has ever seen it before. Let me reread that. It says, so you're going to see Cybertron in a way that you've never seen it, that no one's ever seen it before. Because we're doing an animation, we're allowed to really go all out. If you tried to make this live action, it would probably be $1 billion movie or something. He continues on, and I quote, you're going to see a lot of the origins of the society and what broke it apart. The analogy for me is a bit like Krypton when you saw the planet falling apart and all that. We're not there for a short time. We're there for the entire time of the movie. We're on Cybertron. But we are in the challenge. Let me read that. But we are in the challenge that, if you know the lore, they begin to question the hierarchy on how the society has gotten strifled, and how the common man doesn't have the voice entirely that they want to have. We're following very true to the origin story of it. So it's really fun too, because I've gotten to see some of it. It's not fully executed by any stretch of the imagination. But viewing Optimus and Megatron not as who we know them as, which we see the maturity in this experience. So in a sense, you're hearing a different character because you're hearing them before they have matured. It's not a coming of age story. I don't think you'd believe that. In a way, or I don't think you'd believe that in a way. But I would say that the young men who are finding their path. Like I said, it's more than a tease. That's what the story is. And that's the experience you're going to go through. You know, they question society, just like all of us too could question our society. We're maybe not as strong as Megatron and Optimus, so maybe we wouldn't make the same choices, but I think it's really going to be an eye-opener for the fans. For the non-fans, you're going to get to meet the characters in their early formation. I would say this. We don't spend a lot of time thinking about 2 and 3 because it's always hard to do one well. But there's a natural trilogy coming out of this friendship where you could see the divisions and the possible attractions to each other, and why that should play out over 3 movies is very natural. So we have a good sense in the broader terms, but in the broadest terms, we know what the second movie would be about, and the third movie would be about, though, through the eyes of what this relationship's going through. So the exact plotting, we haven't worked on that, but how that relationship evolves, de-evolves, evolves, de-evolves, all that stuff, that is what we're going to drive it. That's what's going to drive it if we get lucky. If the first one's a success. I do apologize if I butchered a lot of that, but yeah, that's I guess they had to do a translation or something, or he's kind of like, I would assume he's bilingual, but more Spanish speaking or whatever than English. So that's why it's kind of presented the way it is. But yeah, that's basically what he says there. And I will say this: we have known about the origin. We have known about various origins of the Transformers for years. We've known about them. I grew up on Transformers for years and years and years, decades among decades, and I've never faulted being a fan. You know, when Beast Wars came out, at first I was a little like, oh, okay, I'll check it out because it's Transformers. And then when I started seeing them do what they did in the second and third season, I was like, I'm hooked. This is good. This is a continuation of what I grew up on. So to know that they were exploring the lore even back then, and they continue to do so now, you know, this really gets me hyped because we've seen episodes in G1 that explore the original origin. Like the most infamous episode from season 2 is War Dawn, where the aerial bots go back in time and meet up with a young Orion Pax, who turns out to be Optimus Prime later on. So yeah, to know that we're going to get a story like this, you know, moving forward for next year's animated film, I'm looking forward to it. And you know what Hasbro needs to do to coincide with this? Even though it's 2 years off from its 40th, they need to put out the 86 animated film alongside it temporarily. You know, put that out to hype up this, and you give Transformer fans double the pleasure, double the fun, in my opinion. But honestly, I'm looking forward to this. I like the fact that they want to explore this. They want to try to, you know, they want to try and plan to explore this for about 3 movies, depending on how successful the first one is. Believe me, it's Transformers. It's animated. The first legit animated film on the big screen. Yeah, I think fans are going to want to see more of this, especially if it's done in the style that the opening sequence to Bumblebee was done in. So I think they're going to want to see that. But overall, I can't wait. I mean, the way he describes it as best he can, you know, the story basically is going to be an evolution of how Prime and Megatron were like brothers at first, and then that friendship de-evolved over time to where they became enemies. And then, of course, if you watch the 86 film, kind of resulted in what we saw. But yeah, I'm looking really forward to this. I know that when the release date comes out, I'm going to go online, and those tickets go on pre-order. I will get a ticket. There's no doubt. In my opinion, I will do that. And if I have to, I will take a bus, just like I did for the 2017 MLP movie. I will take a bus on my day that I can get off if I'm working at that time, which I should be. I'll ask for that day off, well in advance, and I will go and see this film. that's a fact. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. How do you feel about the details, the plots that have been put out for this 2024 film? Do you think it will warrant 2 more movies if it is successful? How do you feel about it? Let me know down below. And until next time, guys, I will talk to you later. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The question is, are you? Let me know. And I am out.